Chili. Oh, you know what? That was pretty nice. Yeah, fuck it. I'll wear this. Put it up. Make sure it's all like all evened up. There we go. Cool. Cool. Fucking chilly. Chilly and cold. Beer. Boo boo. Hey.
Fantastic, Mr. Fox.
Whoa, wow. Fuck your fantastic Mr. Fox. How about that shit? How about that, bitch? Jesus, where that? I didn't even click anything, YouTube. Like, I started your app. And I get this? Like, what the fuck? But, ay, Dios mío. Dios mío. Anyway, it's, background noise of assaults. What should I play? YouTube actually now makes it a little difficult. Because they made it a little, like, easy with the leeway with the whole, like, music playing now. At least, mostly. It's just like, now what do I choose? Because a lot of bands that normally have a list of, like, don't play this is now, like, for the most part, okay. So I'm just like, I'm just wondering what is and isn't. Okay, still. I'm sure there's, like, a list somewhere, though. I got that. There we go. Oh fuck, I forgot my tea. Ah, damn it. I don't want to get up again. You okay, boy? You good? Honestly, I'm a little worried about him right now. Because this morning I fucking saw a little rash on him. It doesn't look good. I mean, he doesn't seem to be in pain or distress and doesn't hurt him. But definitely got me nervous, being like, uh-oh, what's this? So I've just been kind of keeping a close eye with my little buddy. Mainly because, obviously I don't want him, having an infection or anything, because that would be bad. No, look at you. You're just a sweet boy, aren't you? It seems like you're doing okay. Seems like you're all alright. Which is good. You just look like a sleepy boy. Which is about typical for him. Typical little sleepy doge. Got that on. Sweet. Cool, and looks like some stuff you have to check. A TikTok star proves Republicans are the most gullible people ever. Well, I don't think a TikTok star was needed to tell me that. Definitely don't need a TikTok star to tell me that shit. I suppose it makes it easier to call it out, but no, it's not exactly necessary. Most people tend to be aware that they're very gullible. Besides themselves, they don't see it. And weirdos that want to give the benefit of the doubt, which, by proxy, they're also gullible. Because they're gullible to think that's even the case. They think that's believable. I guess outside the exception to the rules, but that's why they're exceptions. Get this bowl, my little warming bowl, to warm me up and wake me up for this good old day. Sweet. Alrighty. Then we'll see what's going on throughout the day. See what little news there is, because I know I did actually did look into that, like, fucking human trafficking shit that Ron DeSantis is doing or whatever the fuck. And of course, I was actually legit fucking right, again, about that shit somehow. Where it's like, oh. Where it's just like, oh, they're gonna, send him to places like Martha's Vineyard and stuff. Oh, to like, traffic and be like, look, we're going to send them to these sanctuary cities and we're going to show you how really the Democrats, fucking run things. And they do it, and then they just get fucking aid. It's like, oh, yeah. It's like, oh, a bunch of people just, like, plopped in our town. Okay, here, we'll accommodate them. Like, that's literally what fucking happened. It's like, these Republican dipshits, dude, as a way to try to, like, fuck over libs or something, they basically, like, do just a good old little bit of human trafficking, because that's always a good moral thing to do, and just, like, move them into these places, and just, like, thinking, oh, yeah, these people are gonna be racist fuck like us. It's like, give me a break, dude. It's like, fucking hell. I mean, frankly, I'm not surprised at all, but, I mean, you think they'd be a little more subtle with that? And you think they would also, like, I don't know, not send them, like, north, but, like, south, because they're always about, like, deport them. They're always about that shit. So why traffic them further in? They're fucking idiots. And this thing's unclogging. I mean, it's still fucked up either way. I just find it funny that it kind of backfired on them, because the whole idea was basically to just utterly dehumanize these people and just expect them to be treated, inhumanely, over there just as much as they were in their states. So they're expecting, they'll be treated just as bad over there. It's like, no, they won't. It's like, why do you think they all boast or freak out about sanctuary cities and shit? Because they're more friendly towards immigrants than people who are not native born. So, I don't know, sending a bunch of those type of fucking people to those places doesn't seem like it's gonna be doing you favors if you're trying to paint immigrants as, like, a bad light. If anything, it just makes you look like a shitbag. Which they are. It's like trying to fucking traffic fucking people into different parts of the country just because they're brown. It's like, excuse me? Totally legal for governors to do it, but if a cartel or, like, any other random human fucking being does that, well, that's like a human rights crime right there. Even though it should be across the board. Also, aren't the Republicans the ones that freak out about how Democrats are busing migrants to the country? They can shut the fuck up now. You know what I mean? Like, any Republican that freaks the fuck out about immigration can just shut up. It's like, oh my god, these Democrats busting these immigrants. It's like, Republicans are literally busting them into fucking, you know, like, throughout the country. I mean, not that I'm inherently against that, just the way they're doing it, because they're human trafficking it. But I'm okay with being like, hey, there's, you know, people, you know, like en masse that are like, you know, qualified to, you know, be here via visa, refugee status, or whatever the fuck. Sure. Let them in. But this idea of just like, oh, how dare they? How dare these people run amok in places like Texas and Florida? We'll send them to greener pastures and send them to like Martha's Vineyard and these sanctuary cities. And yeah, like, that's supposed to do what exactly? Make Republicans look good? Just like, you know, make these sanctuary cities look good? Because, I mean, they're succeeding on one part. I just find it, like, just ridiculous, honestly. Like, I don't know whether to be just, like, what the fuck about it, or just, like, it is kind of amusing, just because it's backfiring. But it's still kind of like, what the fuck. Especially when there are constantly always crying and freaking out about, like, migrants and shit, and yet are basically the same motherfuckers doing it. Oh my god, there's a... Trump is having another one? Oh boy. Probably not watching it, just because I'm having a concert later tonight, so I'm just, if anything, just pre-gaming. It's pre-gaming for that. And, yeah, you know what, I actually kind of need my tea. Ohio. Oh boy. It's hilarious. Well, like, pretty much, like, his rallies at this point are pretty hilarious in general. Because of just how, like, just, like, how random they get. Because they just all sound like just a constant, just run-on ramble. Just, like, consistent. And I feel like there's not, like, a strict, cohesive, like, point to everything. All the mutants in the background, too, lol. You notice they also, like, in the background, they always have, like, these, and it's always the same dudes, too, but they always have, like, 2 or 3 Blacks for Trump dudes in the background, too. And it's literally just the same type of dudes because they're part of, like, this group that's, I think, called the same name, that is basically, I don't even know what, like, their core shit is, but they're basically just, like, yeah, we're just, like, you know, hella hardcore conservative black people that, you know, are just, you know, like, fans of Trump and all that shit because reasons or something. Get paid a lot. Oh, I bet. I bet it honestly pays to be one of those weird background dudes. Thanks YouTube for not telling me Mr. Noskis live. Well, yeah, YouTube does that. YouTube's a little dumb like that. But hey, I've only been live for like 14 minutes, so you didn't miss too much. I guess you missed a little bit of my ramble about the like Republicans busting migrants and shit, just because I kind of found out about that when I was going to bed last night. And I honestly legit kind of felt somewhat vindicated about what the reaction to it was, at least from the people, you know, in these places, like in Martha's Vineyard, where the fuck being busted into. We're all just, like, trying to accommodate them a little bit. But at the same time, also, these same migrants also, yeah, basically don't know what the, where the fuck they're going or anything. They're all, like, mostly confused, just like, yeah, I heard there was, like, a border office or something over here where we're told we're going here, so, shrug. Like, that's pretty much just how most of them are feeling about it. Which is honestly the biggest what the fuck part about it. It's just like, You just like take people who literally don't know for the most part like where they're going, and just basically just toss them around like little pawns, you know, to places that you just want, you know, want to send them to just because it's convenient for you. And it's just like, ew. It's like that part's exceptionally fucking gross. But it's better than being in Florida or Texas, though, to be fair. So that's why it's like, I don't know how to totally feel about it. Because, like, I'd rather them not be in places where they're going to be treated shittily, like in Texas and Florida. But at the same time, it's like I don't want Republicans the ones to, like, bust them around and shit. Because especially of how they do it. It's like, ew. What the fuck? Especially if, like, DeSantis, too. Like, as from what I understand, Texas did it first. And then pretty much, like, within a day or two after that, DeSantis was just, like, because of how much of a fucking little clout-chasing little shitbag he is and a little weasel, he just, you know, he couldn't help but just be like, oh, I need to do this, too. So he did it, but just, like, basically tried to do it even more, you know, in comparison to what, I think Abbott did. That's the location to pick. It was probably the most brilliant. It's all scumbag billionaire rats on an island. It's beautiful. Shoving in monies. Yeah. I mean, that's why I'm not totally against it. And also, I think it's why they kind of accommodated the people anyway, because they got the fucking money. You know, they can, you know, lose a little bit of, you know, money making, you know, a little bit, like a little barbecue for them or some shit, you know. Which I don't know if that, you know, totally happened, but at least I know with some of these migrants, they did get treated with, you know, some accommodations and shit. Like, there's, you know, at least some videos of that. So it's like, he thought they were just going to be treated negatively just because he sent them in these places. But, nope. Not exactly. I mean, it's not like they're being treated amazingly, but still. I'd say at least it's a little better than being in fucking Florida and Texas. Oh, here's some stuff about the railroad deal. Only one unpaid sick day. What? They only got one unpaid sick day? What type of fucking deal is this? What? Well, am I getting human trafficked out of Alabama? We called off the rail strike too. Well, from my understanding, they reached a tentative agreement, which still has to go to the vote, to the rank and file. Which, from my understanding, the rank and file fucking hate it. So, if they, vote, against it, which is probably likely they will, then the strike could still go on. So, not totally, but let's, alright, I heard they did have the agreement, and that was about it, so I guess we could, let's do some of the details of this.
Union news, ladies and gentlemen.
Union news.
U.S. railway companies and unions have reached a tentative agreement.
The railway companies and the unions have reached a tentative deal that could prevent what would likely have been an economically and politically disastrous strike. Now
I love how, like, media has to portray that as, that, basically. It's just like a strike is, especially for the railroads, is that it's like, this would be utterly disastrous, politically and economically. Like, shut up.
20 hours, the president himself calling in around 9 p.m. last night to stress that any shutdown would have been catastrophic for the economy, saying they will get better pay, improved working conditions, and peace of mind around their health care costs, describing that as all hard-earned. But the president is also describing this as a victory.
But, hey, Biden, the problem is that the pay isn't inherently the problem. It's the fact that these conductors and engineers can't spend time with their fucking families. Like, a main reason as to why they're fighting so much about it, it's not necessarily pay, because they do have, like, a 24% pay increase. Like, it ain't that. It's the fucking fact that they basically have... I mean, think about it this way. Like, for an average worker like me, for, like, a retail worker, they get at least a guaranteed 2 days off a week, right? So, that's, like, what, 52 weeks in a year, 2 days off, so, like, 52 times, like, what, 104 days about, give or take? So, that's... you know, for an average, like, 9 to 5, you know, 2 days off type of fucking worker or shit, retail or otherwise type of thing, right? So, these type of guys, they don't get that. They don't get any of that shit. They barely get, like, a fucking week, if that. They get, like, essentially 24 hours in between their 24/7 like type of shifts and shit, and then after that they're basically on call and they have to accept it basically no matter what, or else they could be fired. And they have to basically within a 72-hour period or like a 48-hour period, one of those type of like within a time frame, to be at the job site and be on the clock, essentially. Like, it's fucked. Like, they basically have no time for themselves, let alone their fucking, you know, like, families and shit. So that's what they're mainly fighting for, is to at least have, like, some, you know, at least some time off, you know, at least, like, a month or something, so they can spend some time with their folks. Like, I think what they're fighting for is, like, 3 weeks of time off, you know, that's, you know, that they can at least have for their, you know, folks and themselves. Which is also way less than what, you know, someone like me would have.
He says to retain and recruit more workers, George.
Now, this is coming from...
If you had to smoke some cannabis called Berry Blast or Nut Blaster, what would you choose? Yes. Both.
In months, by the way.
Or Nutbuster,
Here's a much earlier news source about this railroad talks that were slated to be had a long-ass time ago. From all the way back in June and July, they were talking about this. And I remember, if I recall correctly, didn't Biden actually break this down by weaponizing the DPS? Rank and file has not actually voted for this yet. So it's only a tentative agreement. The media is celebrating it like a dub, but the rank and file, from what I understand, is not exactly happy about the concessions made because they're not enough. I will talk to you about the details.
Here's some here. Brotherhood of Maintenance of Way Employees. Okay. Why is our union posting this like this some kind of a changing deal? One day is laughable. We need a strike. The paying members didn't agree to this, and pay demanded also. No. We want paid sick leave days, not unpaid. Now we still have to come to work sick because we need a paycheck. So they got unpaid days off. They're gonna vote this down. Yeah, they're absolutely gonna vote that down. Especially considering that, you know, like, I would, like, yeah, if I'm gonna get sick days and shit, yeah, I'd like them to actually be fucking paid sick days, because I'm guaranteed that with my fucking current job.
Talks remain deadlocked after more than 2 years of negotiations, so President Joe Biden will likely soon have to appoint a board to help settle the dispute. The National Mediation Board determined Tuesday that mediation isn't working in the joint talks that cover roughly 140,000 workers in 13 unions at the biggest freight railroads. They deliver the raw materials many companies rely on. We're talking pesticides. We're talking fucking, like, shit that you need for clean water. Did I say DPS? I should have said DPA. I apologize. The Defense Production Act. The federal law that governs the contract that talks says arbitration is the next step, but both sides have to accept that the unions have said that they won't. Even Newsmax themselves were shocked to learn from a railroad worker that they do not have, they don't seem to get paid time off.
Newsmax? Really?
We're going to talk about this in a second, though. We're going to get into the details. I just wanted to cover the liberal media side of it first. But this is something that, like...
Fucking Newsmax, dude. Seriously? I want to see that. Like, really? Huh. The far right, like, borderline Q news outlet, like, okay. Wow. I mean, honestly, like, if anything, that kind of shows that, you know, like, when it comes to workers' rights and labor rights, that if couched correctly, you know, can be palatable. You know, even to where, like, a Newsmax host has to be like, well, that does seem a little unfair, now, does it? Because that throws me a little bit for a loop, I'm not going to lie.
News have been talking about for a while. It's been an ongoing issue. I mean, railway workers are getting absolutely fucking cumstered. But the rank and file, for the record, the rank and file are not happy about this circumstance, the contract, and even the current state of affairs here. We'll look at more perfect union. Update: the two largest rail unions have begun distributing strike information and FAQs to workers ahead of the Thursday night deadline for railroads and unions to reach a deal. Workers have been with without a contract for 3 years and can legally authorize a strike beginning Friday. One of those two unions, Smart TD, yesterday urged congressional leaders to not intervene in the dispute and force a new contract onto workers. It is imperative the negotiation between labor and carriers be permitted to play out. Smart TD is asking supporters to write Congress with the same message. America's railroaders are telling you how to write in the course. Please listen. I'm humbly asking you to let them defend themselves, just as so many workers before have done. A survey of Smart TD workers found that they overwhelmingly oppose the federal mediator's proposed deal that includes no changes to attendance policies, sick leaves, or other priorities. Nearly 8 in 10 said they want the union to reject the deal. The deal that...
And they should. Because it sounds like a bunch of fucking bullshit. How's the concert? Fucking amazing. I'm pretty much going to go to it again tonight, but, you know, just doing the same routine like I did last night. Or yesterday. A little pregame.
Have put forward do not represent the interests of the rank and file, because remember, unions themselves have an internal process of additional democracy where your union leaders are still beholden. They can end up doing a contract, they can end up negotiating a contract and bring it up to the rank and file, but the rank and file still have to vote to ratify it, and they can technically say, no, fuck no, this is not good. If they don't actually...
I mean, honestly, that's, I mean, because especially within... you know, like, union action, there's a lot of politics that go into that, too. And, especially when it comes to, like, you know, getting a contract going through, that's where a lot of it goes into. Because, you know, it's these, you know, it's obviously going to be for the heads and the reps of the union that are going to be negotiating with the company back and forth. And once there is an agreement, the tentative agreement, then there's a cool down period where after that, it's voted on for the rank and file. And usually that cool down period is so there's time to set up, you know, places so the rank and file can go vote on these things. And actually, you know, go to, like, the halls and vote for that shit. And by there, either it gets ratified by the members voting yes on it, or, or it doesn't, and basically they have to go back and negotiate again, and the possibility of a strike also comes back into the forefront again. Especially if it's been, you know, a fight that's been happening for fucking 2 years. Well, 3, since they haven't had a contract for 3 of them.
So then they could technically turn around and engage in the strike. There is a tentative deal that was reached this morning. This is from yesterday, but I want to hear more from the rail workers using their own words on what pushed them to the brink, okay? Because it's important to recognize this, and you're not going to get this kind of coverage, you're not going to get this kind of perspective on mainstream media that literally have brushed this aside for as long as they did, and then exclusively brought this up as a big dub for the Biden White House as soon as there was a tentative deal.
It seems intentional, like the railroad industry is intentionally trying to create an oppressive work environment so that they can reach their end goal and be able to give more money back to Wall Street.
These workers have worked now for the last 3 years throughout a pandemic, putting themselves and their families at risk. Without a raise, they have not received any pay increase during that time. At the same time, they've seen their numbers dwindle dramatically. They've also seen the highest profits in the history of railroading over that same stretch of time.
Just on duty time, you are very commonly working 80 plus hours a week. That does not include the time that you're sitting at the away from home terminal. I mean, you might be away from home, subject to the railroad, not with your family, for 120 hours in a week. In this round of
and how, like, why is that seen as, like, reasonable? I mean, that's just fucking insane. Like, I mean, they basically essentially have, like, no time to spend with their family, like, at all, you know, during that week, because chances are they're probably also, like, in some other part of the country, because, again, being subject to the railroad and into companies, like, they're going to be, you know, traveling around, you know, hauling a cargo from place to place. So chances they're just going to be probably sitting in a fucking hotel somewhere just waiting to be on call again. And, oh, by the way, all unpaid for. Like, they have to go out of pocket, you know, for these fucking hotels and paying for food and board and shit like that while being out, you know, away from home and shit. Even when they have to be waiting on call, you know, so these people get very fucked. And they're the backbone of our industry, too.
Workers as a whole want 4 things: an increase in their pay, they want to keep their health insurance, they want the ability to take time off when they're sick, when they need time with their family without being subject to an oppressive attendance policy, and we don't want to be forced to one-man crews the way the railroad wants to cram it down our throat.
if you want a taste of how rail members...
Which also, with, like, one-man crews, like, considering how, like, an engineer could be on a train for up to, like, 12, 16 plus some hours within a day, that's fucking insane. Like, that shouldn't even be legal. Because if you wouldn't let a trucker drive for 16 hours straight, then why should we let someone who's a train operator do the same thing? Yeah, they might be pushing a few buttons here and there instead and just kind of sitting there. But they still have to be aware and be maintaining the shit. Like, I mean, if they just sleep and slack off and shit, I mean, the train's just gonna just keep going. Like, I mean, it ain't gonna slow down or stop.
A deal. Here's the BMWE Facebook comment section. The Brotherhood of Maintenance of Way employees. Why is our union post? This is rank and file. Why is our union posting like this? Like this is some kind of game-changing deal. One day is laughable. We need to strike. The paying members didn't agree to this, and better pay was demanded also. No. We wanted paid sick leave days, not unpaid. Now we still have to come to work sick because we need a paycheck. So they got unpaid days off. They're gonna vote this down. What they got so far in the tentative deal is quite literally fucking a one day unpaid sick leave, which is a slap to the face of every fucking rank and file member. Now we don't know.
That's a fucking insult. You might as well just fucking like take a knife and just stab their gut. Like that's just a fucking insult as far as I'm concerned. It's like, oh, you want paid sick leave? Here. Here's 1 day of unpaid sick leave. Take that, fucking peasant. Like that's essentially exactly is what that fucking means.
And here, Jonah is saying, I would like to emphasize this point. Anybody who says it's a good deal or a bad deal at this point is going off rumors and reading the tea leaves of Biden's...
Nut Buster tastes like cashews, so it has a nutty flavor to it. That's nice.
Or sentence fragments in the mainstream media. Members and even local presidents haven't seen the agreement yet. The main thing is that nobody knows what's in the deal. The releases that have come out are vague and confusing, and contracts come down to enforceable, clear, detailed language. It's not like you get a sick day. It's like a 100-page piece of legislation, but the vibes are bad. So what they have seen so far, the rank and file is not happy with. But we still do not know the full details of what's going on. But I will explain something to you. Here's Jeff Stein with a really helpful chart. One of the most important issues in the rail negotiations is over whether workers...
This agreement seems like garbage, because it is. Like, I mean, one unpaid sick day. And, basically, for the most part, essentially getting the same fucking treatment as they have prior. But, oh yeah, they got a little bit of a pay raise. Like, fuck that. It's like, I mean, if I'm getting a pay raise, but not getting, the benefits that should be just the standard and just the basic norm as it is, then no, fuck that. That's ridiculous.
Sick leave, okay? Paid sick leave.
Because frankly, like, I mean, what good is that money gonna be fucking doing me if essentially I'm not gonna have any personal time for myself, to be using that for me or for like my family and shit like that, put myself in, in the mindset of like these guys. Like, I mean, how in the fuck? Like, I mean, if you don't got the time, whether due to like paid sick leave or otherwise and shit to spend if you're for yourself or your folks, then what's good is that pay raise going to do you?
And got one. That's the one thing that we know. They got 1 day of unpaid sick leave. Here is the chart from the CEPRDC, the Center for Economic Policy and Research, showing the international comparison. Luxembourg gets 50-day for cancer, 5-day flu. The United States currently has 0, which is not surprising. Norway's at 50, 50, 50, 5 at the minimum for just the flu. These are paid sick leave days, by the way. Belgium, 5 days. Sweden, 3.2. Denmark, 5 days. Netherlands, 3.5, which is kind of a fucking idiotic thing to do, by the way. Overall, claiming that this is like a dub and that the tentative deal will be agreed on or whatever without rank and file's feedback, because it will blow up in Biden's face if they haven't actually reached an agreement and people are not happy about it.
President Biden just...
And I hope it does. And it probably will. Because it kind of shows that as much of like the most union president ever, Jack, on top of dude that he likes to fucking couch himself as, it would most certainly show how much of a fucking bullshit lie that really is. Because he really isn't. Like, I mean, yeah, maybe he's a little bit more friendly towards workers, to an extent. But, I mean, that doesn't really mean much. Especially in, the national level of circumstances. So, like, with that, I mean, he's still going to be, the same, like, anti-worker, not exactly a pro-union type of dude as, he couches himself as. I mean, the only real good thing about him with that so far is just the NLRB and with the heads of that right now, but that's not really saying much, at least for now, just because it has been, at least in some part, the reason why there has been a lot of successes with labor right now is because they've been, when a lot of issues, pop up, to the NLRB, at least within like the last year or two, is pretty much like most of the time it's been going to the side of the workers, when it comes to their issues and shit, like whether to have like a unionized shop or not. So it's, it's been good. Like, it's nice that that's there, but I mean, that doesn't really mean that like Biden is somehow now benevolent to workers because of that, especially with this shit.
Deal struck earlier this morning to avert a potential rail workers strike, calling it a big win for America. And Sam, what were workers fighting for here?
They wanted a pay raise, and they got that 24%. They're also going to get $1,000 a year bonuses. But one of the most important parts that they were hung up on was unpaid sick time. They wanted to be able to go to the doctors, take their kids to the doctors without being penalized. They were often working on a point system, and if they got too many points, they...
I like how he said unpaid sick time. No, it was paid sick time there, buddy.
And you have to remember, these train conductors and engineers are often assigned to a trip last minute. They last several days, and it can take them all across the country. So it is tough for the railroad company to come up with schedules, but also really take care of their employees. But they seem to have found a deal.
This strike would have been the first in decades, as you say, crisis averted for so many Americans. How would this strike, though, have impacted the economy? What was at stake here?
$2 billion a day, our shelves.
Not even fucking just $2 billion a day, baby. No medicine, no agricultural production. Our supply chain works in such a way that if you shut delivery down, like if you shut a fundamental plank of logistics, you shut everything down. Fucking fall apart. Remember during the Long Beach port saga, I talked about an opportunity for the dock workers to literally, and delivery drivers, like the truckers and the dock workers to personally intervene. Like, it was a great opportunity for them to do contract renegotiations if they saw, or not contract renegotiations, but like just to threaten. Yeah, you need chemicals for oil refinement. You need fertilizer shipments. All of that stuff happens through the railways. Of course.
Yeah. There's so much of our economy does go through the railways. Honestly, it's why I think personally it would be so important, because it would honestly, I think, be a major catalyst to start, expanding even further with labor, because if you have, like a lot of these grocery stores or a lot of different, places that suddenly are just like forced to a halt, and these companies react, especially directly with their workplaces, very negatively, especially to the workers, by like laying people off or cutting hours heavily and significantly, because we aren't getting anything in, so we can't have all these people just loitering around and blah 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 and all this other shit. Then it ends up being a domino effect. It's already been slow domino effect. Like, there's been like the smaller dominoes that have been kind of toppling, but it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. If you think about it, especially even historically with labor movements in America in times past, they've lasted for more than a decade. In a lot of ways, the Spanish flu catalysted a lot of the labor movement during the 20s and the 30s. There was shortly after Reconstruction started to kind of like fiddle out. That kind of started a lot of the catalysts after the Civil War and shit during like this 1780s through the 90s. So it's just like they build up slow and they grow kind of big and fuming for a while. So it's it takes time, but these type of things build up and slowly compound even more and more as time goes on.
Hot take. The entire Democratic union strategy is unions spend billions to get Democrats elected. Unions threaten to strike in advance of an election. Democrats force through an absolute sweetheart deal for unions, declare victory. You pay for it. Once again, show.
Who said that? Ben Shapiro, fuck you. You little rat. Like, you fucking little shitbag. Like, fuck off. Like, they get a little sweetheart deal. Like, what? Getting, like, the bare necessity, you shitbag, and they didn't even get that? Like, fuck off.
for the
Fucking
working
little
class.
weasel
Again,
shit.
the sweetheart deal is like 1 day of paid sick leave, unpaid sick leave. That's psychotic. Biden calling into a late night meeting to ball out railroad executives for intransigence on sick leave and scheduling after Bernie blocked the GOP bill to force a crap deal on workers. We keep hearing about how this pro-working class GOP that will emerge any day now. The average American would not know that we get fired for going to the doctor. This one thing has our members most enraged. We have guys who were punished for taking time off for a heart attack and COVID. It's inhumane, said Dennis Pierce of the BLET union. So just comprehend that for a moment. Like, the motherfuckers that are running the backbone of this country, day in, day out, doing like literally 24-hour runs. Those dudes are getting fired for not getting any sick leave whatsoever.
It's part of the...
I mean, basically just for the fact that, like, oh shit, I have a medical emergency. It's like, well, you're unreliable, you're fired. It's just like, I mean, so just shit that's literally out of your control can literally fucking fire you. Like, that's how exploitative and hella and, like, hellish, you know, this just entire fucking, you know, oppressive, system is in this industry. And yet it's the backbone of our fucking, you know, economy, like, entirely and shit. And yet, and no one really gives it the just, you know, respect or really just due that it deserves, you know, because, like, this is the fucking treatment that they get. And yet now people want to try to couch this shit as a fucking victory because they got, like, pretty much, like, stabbed in the fucking back. Like, fuck that. Like, I mean, if anything, like, I mean, if there is somehow an ratification of this shit, I will be fucking shocked. Because it's just bullshit, and so much of the rank and file is not happy with it, and nor should they. I mean, because this is just full-on bullshit. And just straight up fucking outright unacceptable and psychotic.
Bernie Sanders talking about...
The rail workers are asking for 15 paid sick days. This is not a radical idea. We are
just barely, like, a little over 2 weeks.
The only major country on earth that does not guarantee paid sick days. They say it would cost too much money to provide their workers with any paid sick days. They made over $20 billion in profits last year. They provide their CEOs with huge compensation packages. And here's something else that everyone should know. Last year, the rail industry spent over $18 billion, not to improve rail safety, not to address the supply chain crisis in America, but to buy back its own stock and hand out huge dividends to its wealthy stockholders.
You gotta make sure that those bonuses get handed out to the administrators and the corporate higher-ups every fucking quarterly. Of course, such typical shit. I mean, like, this is, like, similar shit as, you know, like how my fucking company does things. You know, it's basically just like, oh, well, you know, we'll invest, you know, a lot of our profits into things, you know, to make sure that we get even more money. That's basically, it's like what they do. Like, they, like, they're not gonna, you know, whether it's buying stocks back and shit, or just, like, cutting little sweetheart deals for themselves, you know, and handing out little bonuses for their own sake and shit. But, you know, do the actual, like, producers or the laborers and shit get any of that? Nope. They get nothing.
The free market by forcing employers to pay above equilibrium, though through collective leverage. The profit is the obligation of private companies. There's a paradox. Not only do I want to
Wait, what? To play devil's advocate, aren't unions inherently anti-free market by forcing employers? Oh my god, jail. Gulag a few.
I want to throw you in jail for even trying to play devil's advocate.
Just gulag.
What do you mean the free market, dude? I mean, what you're describing is unironically another facility, a facilitation of the free market, where workers themselves are not seen as like an unshakable commodity, but instead a force that has some bargaining power. I don't know why you think these guys are just like slaves, you know? You just like, you're buying them like bags of rice. Like, you're buying their labor as though it's bags of rice. Econ textbooks have fucking broken people's brains, dude. I swear to God. It's also additionally silly when we were talking about the railways, like the railroads, which is a fundamental plank of like our infrastructure. It is incredibly important for our national security. It's incredibly important for commerce to run, which is precisely why the government has to interfere. Like, there is no free market. Not a single piece of the fucking railroad is at this stage created or even run by free market. It's the exact same thing. Like, they took the government resources, they took the government money, and there's a private patina now on top of it, but it's still absolutely something that the government has to control.
It turns out that guaranteeing 15...
I mean, honestly, the fact that the government doesn't have control over it at this point is a little ludicrous. Like, I mean, there are just certain things that should not be privatized at all, and the railway industry and just a lot of our backbone of our economy should not be that. I mean, it, like the idea of, like, oh, well, like a lot of our railway industries and our, like, shipping industries and stuff, yeah, that should all be, like, the for-profit industry, yeah, it's like, what? It's like, just so we can make sure, just like, things are on the shelves and, farmers get the, shit that they need, and, like, it's, like, the literal basic backbone to make sure that, like, the state functions. It's like, no.
...to rail workers would cost the industry a grand total of $688 million a year. That is less than 3.5% of their annual profits. Now, it seems to me that if 4 major rail carriers can afford to spend over $18 billion a year on stock buybacks and dividends.
Oh my God. That kind of shows that unironically shows how inhumane these fucking scumlords are. That they can't even put 3.5% of their fucking profits that those workers created back into very reasonable demands that the workers themselves are making by way of their fucking labor union. That is completely, by the way, profits, chat, which is of course...
Which, honestly, is just like, that's usually, it's like what, like... the whole point of, like, unions are about, really, is to try to, like, take the very little profits that would be needed to, like, give, the basic needs, for the workers, for the safety conditions and their proper pay and benefits and shit, so they can have a comfortable life themselves. Like, it's essentially, it's like the whole point. It's like, because... for a capital owner, they're not, about, cutting their profit. So even if it's by like 3.5%, that's abhorrent, and that's, just like, oh my God, the depravity, to these fucking people's minds. So it's like you have to force it out of them. You have to, like, pry it out of their fucking hand. Can't do that as one measly little tiny worker, though.
Labor value that workers, without any sort of, like, labor union, without any sort of mechanism of pushback, have no say over. That's why unions are important. You could turn around and go, what the fuck do you mean? We generated $20 billion in profits for you. Give us 3.5% back at the very least. That's why socialists say profits are theft. Oh my Lord.
Yeah.
Please, don't tell me they cannot afford to guarantee 15 paid sick days.
Yeah, I don't need a comfortable life because the CEO needs to make sure he has his 8-figure income.
And workers...
and his bonuses and stock buybacks.
Workers to have a reasonable quality of life, which they don't enjoy today.
Not sure if it's just being part of this community, but are labor actions becoming more popular and common? It's a bit of both. I think you see more of it because I cover it.
It's definitely both. Like, I mean, at least for the chatter's point, because, I mean, there's a lot of, people that, are talking more about it, but I think it's because it's becoming more of an issue that people are aware of because of the problems of the current state of affairs. I mean, it's kind of like what came first type of situation, chicken or the egg, because, I mean, like, they kind of both play hand in hand with each other.
Also do think that it is becoming more commonplace for workers to actually strike and ask for an additional chunk of the profits. Now, the reason for why that's happening is because one of the things that capital fears the most is a tight labor market that actually reflects the normal economic conditions within a tight labor market, where labor has a better bargaining position. Why do you think people want inflation to fucking rip dicks? Why do you think people actually also personally want workers to be poorer overall, so they have less of a negotiation, less of a interest in negotiating with their bosses? Neoliberals always claim that shitty wages and working conditions are fair because of the market mechanisms, and when workers through unions apply whatever little pressure they have on capitalists, literally a market mechanism, they still shit on them. Yeah, they want the nanny state to fucking straight up immediately come in and use whatever weapons, whatever tools they have to suppress any kind of labor action. That's how this shit works. They don't want...
Yeah. I mean, neolibs basically just, like, do whatever it takes to have, like, the most barest and minimal to keep people complacent, but whenever people want, like, a little bit more so they're actually comfortable, they're like, nah! But yet at the same time, they're totally okay with, saying it's like, hey, there should be like, different forms of influencers to make sure that like the marketplace is more fair, blah blah blah. And it's like, hey, when that pops up, they're all like, no. I mean, come on, we can't like, just take out capitalism here. Don't be a commie now.
No such
So I
thing.
fucking hate libs,
There is
dude.
no such thing as a free market in an economy that is run
Mainly
with
neolibs.
subsidies. Okay, what do you mean the fucking free market? The government literally dictates what kind of dairy output has to happen. Okay, they normalize prices. They do this for every facet of agricultural production. There is no such thing as the free market. There is still plenty of centralized planning involved in the American free market and in the free market everywhere else, okay? Oh, I wanted to show this, by the way. Even fucking Newsmax hosts are like, what? You guys don't get paid sick leave? That's
Yeah, I've been wanting to see this.
crazy.
David, we did reach out to the Association of American Railroads, and they say that workers...
By the way, I love this, okay? Straight up, I'll say it. This guy's got a fucking Blue Lives Matter Punisher flag, and he's wearing the most fucking communist shirt that you could ever see. That is how unions work. That's why I was...
I mean, honestly, yeah, he really isn't wrong. I mean, because, yeah, like, because you can have someone who's legitimately, like, conservative and probably, like, a pro-cop dude or whatever the fuck, but you can make him, be, kind of a flaming commie when it comes to, like, workers' rights and shit, just, because the dude's, been a part of a union, especially one that's actually strong and works for them. So, I mean, it's because then you get shit like that. And it seems weird and it seems strangely oxymoronic, but it isn't.
It's not about right. It's about what's right. It's about justice. It's about the appropriate mechanism of pushback. Labor unions do not have to all be fulfilled by people who are running around and defending or trying to take away people's guns and like defending trans rights or whatever. It is completely removed from our binary understanding of American politics. And this is something that a lot of you should recognize. It doesn't fucking matter. You don't have to be a Democrat to be a union member. You don't have to be a Republican to be a union member. There's no such thing. It is just a mechanism of pushback. It is just fair, okay?
Yeah.
Whoever told you we get 6 days?
I mean, because I know plenty of people who are, I mean, you got, like, a hardcore, lefty dude like me, who is also in, but within my same workplace, I have people who are pretty much somewhat, for all intents and purposes, at least, especially on social views, pretty much the polar opposite. So it's just like, I mean, despite a lot of these, various, degrees of, disagreement or agreement I might have, with coworkers on, like, political or social issues and shit, I mean, when it comes down to it, I mean, when it comes to our own workers' rights and shit, we all pretty much, sing the same tune. Which also makes it easier to have the backs and forths on stuff that we do disagree with, because, I mean, I've actually had pretty interesting conversations with my coworkers on stuff that, we've disagreed with about and shit, and it doesn't end up being like that stereotypical, like, fuck you, you liberal tard son of a bitch, and you fucking, like, far right, like, it doesn't go anywhere close to that type of shit. So because of that commonality bridge, when it comes to, like, being within a union, being in that type of solidarity workplace and shit. So, it makes it, a little easier to be able to discuss other issues and be able to potentially convince them on those things as well, especially due to these type of commonalities.
Off that we earned the previous year before. Before the new policy came about, we were allowed to take 5 days off and 2 weekend days off a month. Now we could take virtually 1 day unpaid off a month, and then the only other time we could take off is our paid time that we had to earn the previous year.
Yeah, that does seem ridiculous. They would never let airline pilots do that. Is that issue number one for members of the union?
He's saying labor does not contribute to profit.
Is number one. And if we go on strike, yes, it could hurt the economy. It could be bad for society, but we don't want to do that. None of us want to do that.
Well, and I know Amtrak's already suspended.
We're not asking for the world here. We're asking for a few days off a month to spend with our family instead of living on our train.
It's sarcastic. Like, I don't see the full labor does not contribute to profits is a sarcastic take. Either it's a sarcastic take, I don't know the full shirt, either it's an ironic shirt.
I mean, it's in quotes, so it's definitely meant to be, sarcasm and kind of a little bit of irony. Because I mean, honestly, that quote sounds familiar. Like, I feel like I've heard that before. Like, labor doesn't contribute profits, because it's something that, like, business, capital owner types of fucking people do. And I think Ben Shapiro actually made it, or some fucking right-wing dipshit, made an argument of like, oh, it's not labor that contributes, to, the profits, it's the investors, and or whatever the fuck, so it's basically, it's like I've heard it before, I'm sure, at least especially for the railroad, it probably is specific to maybe like some railroad exec or some shit that said that, so it's, it's meant to be more of like kind of a satirical, like, fuck you to the dude who said it.
Or it's literally it's in quotes, so I assume it's like an ironic shirt that one of these fucking dickheads said, like a quote by one of these like rail executives probably said, right?
Yeah.
The entire point, and this is something that they teach you in when you join a union, something that you learn immediately, is the classic take that you've probably heard here time and time again. There is no value without labor. Labor is what provides value. If you don't have labor, don't have value. So that's the irony of that shirt. Oh, here it is. The worker shirt is referencing a recent federal mediators report which summarized the negotiation position of the railroads. The carriers maintain that capital investment and risk are the reasons for their profits, not any contributions by labor. There you go.
Oh, well, yeah, see? I mean, so it's a thing that, it's just said, by these type of fucking shitbags because, well, they're capitalists. So, I mean, it's just honestly one of their different little propaganda pieces. So I've heard it before. So, like, I know it definitely had been specific, to, the railroad execs in that case, in the context of that, but it's something that's passed around, from capital owner to capital owner, from industry to industry and shit, because the whole idea is that, like, I mean, especially with, like, right-to-work states and with hardcore anti-union at workplaces and shit that don't have a union in them, like, the whole premise is, like, oh, well, it's like if we basically, can convince the workers that they're just like an investment mechanism of our broader investments into this thing, then their labor isn't the value of it. It's the fact that we gave them the value and shit, and like they don't actually have inherent value to it because we can remove it if we don't like it. I mean, basically just letting it have at a whim, like, oh, we could decide what we do with you type of shit, because they don't give a fuck about, the average worker and shit whatsoever, because all they care about is their profit. And they just want to make sure that those workers, just maximize that, and that's it. And if they step out of line, of anything against that, or just outside of that norm, then yeeted.
And this is hilariously out of touch. Without labor, you're fucked. You can try to like massage the numbers all you want all day, but without the fucking driving engine, there is no value. There is no profits whatsoever. There is no value whatsoever, because labor is the only thing that creates value. Even if you fucking automated every part of this, even if you automated every part of this process, there's still labor that has to oversee the automation. That's how it works. Without a human being touching the buttons, which is labor, you are not going to be able to run the fucking trains. This is perhaps the most fundamental part of the socialist indoctrination, or the socialist understanding, is the recognition of the reality that without labor, there is no value. These capitalist dogs might have fucking broken their brains for staring at numbers far too long in front of a fucking Bloomberg terminal, thinking that they are the ones who are generating profit, actually. Massaging the fucking numbers is actually the real thing that's generating profit. Stock buybacks and this sort of thing is actually what is improving shareholder value. Okay, well, you have no shareholder value without labor. That's how it goes.
200.
Yep. I mean, because fundamentally, if you don't have, workers making the production that allows, there to be value in the first place, to have, that stock market, punch their numbers up or down or whatever the fuck, then they wouldn't be there in the first place, now would it?
60 hours a month sitting on these trains or sitting at the hotel rooms away from our families.
Wow.
When I leave my house to go to work, I'm gone for at least 2 to 2.5 to...
By the way, you fucking see a hog like this, go on Newsmax and put the fucking Blue Lives Matter sticker behind it, and look how agreeable he comes across to the Newsmax host. All of this, American politics is just a dance of aesthetics, dude. It's just straight up. If you look
it is. I mean, that's why, especially when, pushing, for, like, labor and, for these type of leftist ideals and shit, sometimes, just doing the dance of aesthetics, is what you have to do to get it across.
Okay.
Some anti-union propaganda they like to use down here is promising stock options in exchange for not forming a union. They're not doing it because you didn't form a union. to force them to. Yeah. So, like, which, I mean, like, when it comes to a lot of different workplaces that do have those options, like, some will be nice and do that, which I know Starbucks did. I don't know about now at this point, especially considering, you know, with the uni action going on at this rate. But I know with, you know, like, some companies that, you know, they will do that. It's like, oh, you get, you know, like, this amount of a share, or like one share after so you know, time working here or some shit. And usually a lot of reasons as to why those are generally guaranteed is because, yeah, they're unionized places.
Shut up, SJW libtard. Shut the fuck up. You don't deserve it. All aesthetics,
oh,
no
damn,
substance.
wrecked.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Got wrecked.
The substance is within the argument
Owned.
that he is making, okay? The substance is inherent within even the shirt that he's wearing, okay? That's where the real substance comes from.
3 days.
I didn't
Come
realize
home,
that, David.
And then I come home, and I'm only allowed to be home for 10 hours.
Wow.
And then I can be called to go right back to be gone for 3 days.
Do you have a family?
Yes.
Kids?
My kid is 17 years old.
Wow.
A lot of people are wondering why the railroad is facing a strike. It's not money, folks. That's been ironed out already. Quality of life issues. About 50% of railroaders are on call 24/7 unless they're on personal time or already at work. We don't have a schedule. There isn't one. We are on call. After 16 years, I get 3 weeks vacation and 9 personal days a year. That's it. About 30 days. And the railroad wants that to be scheduled. How do you schedule a funeral in October if it's only in February? Schedule for a wedding that hasn't been announced. Schedule to take your spouse to the doctor. Most people get 2 days a week off. With 52 weeks, that's 104 plus days, plus 2 weeks, so that equals 118 days off over the year. I get 30 for the year.
Yep.
The railroad is trying its best to make us look like the bad guys here, but we're not. We just want to see our family and live a little. That's fucked up, man. How dare they?
How dare they ask for the bare minimal of living a little. And they better fucking vote against that contract or the tentative agreement that happened, because that's just bullshit. They even have programs designed to try to force stiff folks into shitty right-to-work jobs. Like, they try to get me to work at a Foodland, which is just as bad as Walmart down here. I've never heard of Foodland, but oh my god, that sounds horrible. Like, ugh, what the fuck? What is this? I love the 2 lanes plus bike configuration on Southwest Bravo. Ooh, I want to see this. I want to see some nice fanciness and ooh. Oh yeah, it's in downtown. Oh yeah, Yamhill and Broadway. Yeah, it's in downtown. Oh yeah, because you got the parking spaces here, but the bike lane is on the other side of that. It's right there. And you have the road, obviously, right there in the center. I really do like that configuration, honestly. Because it keeps the bikers, you know, and the pedestrians more away from the actual road itself. And people who park, you know, aren't, like, right up against the fucking sidewalk and shit. Well, I guess outside of, you know, this side. You know, but, hey. That is actually really nice. Oh, this is, I think that's the fucking, light rail right there. I think that's, pretty sure that's, it's not the Max line, it's a different line. I think it's a PSU line for, the Portland State. Oh my god. I thought trolleys are dead. Well, they're light rails. I mean, they're not like trolleys, but I guess, you know, if I was in England, that's what they'd be called. So it's like, what is this, London? I'm gonna get on the trolley now. Like, they're just called little light rails around here. Or, I mean, the Max line is what we call it, because that's what it literally is called, is the Max. And, but, yeah, like in England, they still call it trolleys. There's actually people questioning about, like, you know, people turning on that road. It's like, is there enough space for people to see the bikers? And it's just like, yes. Hope to sell snacks on trolleys. No, they don't. It's not like a fucking airline. An American car in Europe. Oh my god. Holy shit, dude. Well, it literally sticks out like a sore thumb. And speaking of trolleys, there's one right there. And it literally can't fucking continue forward because of the American car, dude. Oh my god. What the fuck? Why is this so fucking huge? Why do we make them so goddamn big? Absurd. Absurd. Let's see whatever the random things we found on tube here. Hey! Hey! Bruh! What the hell? What the hell, bro? Seriously, dog? Seriously, Doge? Why? Why you be that way? Whoa. Yeah. Come on. Correct yourself. Oh, my lord. Correct yourself. There we go. Let's see. Has my ship been delivered yet? I'm expecting my thing. It says it's supposed to be here today. It literally still says it's en route. Not even out for delivery. What the fuck? I guess Monday then? Ugh. You goof. Why are you so attentive? There's nothing out there. Watching a documentary on Inconditions in early Insane Asylums. They treat those people like human experimental rats. Yeah. Shit, like, dude, yeah, like, insane asylums back in the day were not exactly pleasant whatsoever. They were pretty horrible. Hey, Zukov. Dog. The mail.
Go in the magazine, yeah.
Boop boop. Hey. What are you doing? What the dog doing? What are you doing, boy? What are you doing looking sweet as you could be? Yeah, I guess I can always take a quick little gander out there anyway. Fuck it. Phone's fully charged anyway. Ugh. Want to wander around? Do a little wandering? Yeah. Ooh. Sun's out. Look at you. What are you doing, you silly boy? Hey, get out of the road. Zukov, come on. Get out of the road. Zukov, come on. Oh my god. You silly boy. Come on. What are you doing? I'm picking you up. Come here. Oh my lord. This silly boy. Look what you're doing. Look what you're doing. Not even like a minute out here, you're already causing issues. My god. Damn. Package shit has not shown up yet. You little goofball, dude. Hey, Zooks, come here. Come on. Oi. Hey, come here, buddy. Let's go. Do I have to like make you run? Come on. Come on. Dude. Man, you are just being a fucking lazy bones. He's being a lazy bones. Come on. Let's go. Dude. Oh my lord. Let's go. Jeez. Jeez, bro. He is such a goof. It's not that he needs to like pee on everything, it's just like like one of the neighbors was leaving and another one was coming back pretty much at the same time, so it's just like it was in the middle of the road. Come on, bro. There we go. Man. You little lazy bones. Come on. You goof. You little goof. Ugh. Browsers. Wow. This guy like to chase cars. It's more or less he doesn't have like a fear of them or anything, so he just doesn't like just keep his distance from them. So it's more or less that he just waits, you know, at like pretty much like the last second to really just get the fuck out of the way. Got a Pop-Tart. Man, I just wish my packages would just show up already. Boo. Oh my god, there's a fat fly. Seriously? Get it, Zukov. It's right there. Oh, did he actually get it? Oh my god, he fucking got it the first try. Holy shit. Good boy. Oh my god. Wow. Damn. I'm actually impressed. Good little boy. Like, you deserve a treat for that. Hey, 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 hey. Here, be a little screechy boy and get over here. Yes, yes, yes. Up. That a boy. Hearing their answers turn back into jank stays freaky. They're good at killing them mentally feeble because there's barely enough for the mentally fit. Jeez. Sounds like, I mean, it basically just sounds like borderline Nazi shit. Like, goddamn. Zergaff, what you doing, boo boy? It's little boo boo. Little crazy, sweet little boo boo baby. Really? Bruh. Really? You open that door? Now you just want out again? Not close, okay, he'll be fine. Behave in a humane, decent manner. Dude, this is the night I'm gonna get lit. Like, last night was where I was more chill. Tonight's the litty night.
As I had promised, we're going to talk about the new Walter Masterson video and watch it. And I think this video is not just entertaining, but it's informative because it really shows you how uninformed and gullible GOP voters are. And this is why I think that the left needs to engage with these right-wingers. Not like these right-wing propagandists, but just normal working-class Republicans, because they're pretty easily persuadable. Not always. If you hide the ball...
If anyone offers you drugs, you violently turn them down. Nah, just accept that shit and just party harder.
Receptive to your message.
Like, what the fuck are you, my mother?
But, I mean, just look at what Walter Masterson says and how it just flies over their head.
My uncle was thrown in jail for his political beliefs. They confiscated his ice cream truck. They took away all his weapons. His wife can't even contact him in jail because she's not 18. It's crazy.
You're 100% right. It is crazy. Every American wants life.
Wait. You don't...
He didn't even notice that part? She can't even contact him because she isn't 18. Dude, that guy didn't even notice that. Oh my god. He's like, yeah, that's right. I mean, it's scary and stuff because, when you have Americans have their weapons taken, blah, blah, blah. Oh my god, bro.
Wait, what were the circumstances here? Just because he was a Republican, so they're like, your ice cream truck is gone. And then he drops the, his wife couldn't even contact him because she's under 18. And it just goes right over his head. Did you hear it? Did you hear it and not care? What the fuck is going on here, folks?
Liberty and the pursuit of happiness. That's what our country was founded upon.
My uncle was persecuted for his political beliefs. He was, taken off to jail. They seized his ice cream truck, confiscated all his weapons, and his wife can't even contact him in jail because she's not 18 or anything like that.
And why?
Exactly.
It doesn't make any sense.
It don't make any sense.
It don't make any sense.
Did you not hear what he just said?
Oh my god. Dude, I don't even know if they just aren't, putting two together of what he's saying or what, but they are just not hearing it or something. Like, it's just going straight over them. Oh my god. Please tell me at least one of them notices. Like, I'll have them, a little hope if at least one of them is like, wait, hey, under 18, wait a minute, what? Sounds a little fishy, mister. I think I'll, have a good day.
Victim because she's not even 18? I mean, look, maybe if we're really trying to be charitable here, they were just so distraught by the details that Walter was providing them with that the really important fact here that his wife is under 18, maybe that just was lost on them. But I mean, as you're going to see, a lot of them just don't think twice. So is this normal in Republicans?
I think so. Honestly, just because I think they're just so moved and taken aback by the other details, like the weapons being taken away, his uncle being in jail, all that shit. like, I think all that, you know, it just like moved them to so much to where like that last little bit, you know, just doesn't really register at that point. Outside of like, oh, wife can't contact him. Like, that's the main part they would probably register, but not like the, because she's under 18.
Child marriage is just a thing. And so you're like, yeah, oh, that's weird. Of course, his minor wife should be allowed to contact him. I genuinely don't understand this. It's very creepy. It's very weird, but I'm going to try to be charitable and assume that they just didn't hear that part. Because you know when you, like, blast someone with a bunch of information, sometimes parts of that will just go over their head, the most ridiculous parts.
Yeah.
And so Walter Masterson is kind of priming them to think about government tyranny and overreach of power. And even if he's doing this in a very hyperbolic way, which should still raise some red flags in their minds if they have any critical thinking skills, you know, dropping in that, oh, she's under 18. If they don't see it, maybe it's because of the other things, but either way, holy shit.
Factory, all the children there are unemployed, and it's...
Okay, hang on.
Yeah.
I gotta go back.
Yeah.
So he brings in, because she's not picking up on it. It wasn't subtle enough. He brings in child labor.
Down his factory, all the children there are unemployed, and it's
overreach.
Like... Yeah.
Government overreach.
What?
Wow, it's like he can't, his factory's down and he can't even exploit child labor? That's just government overreach.
How?
Like... Okay, no, she just know he said that. Like, honestly, I bet it's like, oh, you know, child labor, like 15, 16-year-olds, right?
He is not being that subtle, okay? Walter Masterson is an incredible actor, and he plays all of this very well with a straight face. But, I mean, the things that he's saying, not that subtle, okay? And they're just going along with it. This dude is wearing the Constitution here. You can't really see it, but he's wearing the Constitution and an American flag.
Oh my god, he has the Constitution and a flag as a shirt. Oh my fucking god.
One question that I always have for these people who wear, like, American flag garb, like, you've seen them at these Trump events where they have, like, the American flag button-up and the American flag shorts or pants. Like, if they fart...
Just like the American flag, everything, dude.
Technically flag desecration? That's
yes.
A question that I actually want to ask someone who has a flag suit. The only person who I know that has a flag suit and has worn one was on the 4th of July, and he was doing it ironically.
Put in jail over their political beliefs. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially over January 6th.
My uncle was also...
That's a little bit different than their political beliefs, right? Because they put those beliefs, incorrect beliefs that the election was stolen, into action, and they stormed the fucking Capitol.
They did a literal insurrection, yeah. Like, I think that's a little bit more than just political belief at that point. That's fucking, like, that's political action at that rate. Terroristic action at that.
These dipshits just think, oh, well, God, yeah, those people in jail, it's because of their political beliefs. I mean, these people are morons. Like, so many of these folks, I genuinely don't know that rehabilitation is even possible. They might just be too far gone. They're off in La La Land, and they're just...
I mean, if they're at a rally, yeah.
Their own version of reality, preferably crafted by Donald Trump, in perpetuity. It's sad, but even though it's sad, I'm going to laugh at it, because if you can't, laugh, then perhaps it's just going to depress you. I don't know.
Put in jail for his political beliefs. They took away his ice cream truck, confiscated all his weapons, and now his wife can't visit him in jail because she's not 18, and it's just a nightmare. And
Nothing.
It's all, because of your...
Just not phased at all.
And, things you...
Right.
It's like,
Is that a January 6th guy?
What?
January 6th guy?
No comment.
Oh, okay. Alright, I got you.
Good answer.
It's okay.
Took away his ice cream truck. They confiscated all his weapons. His wife can't visit him in jail because she's not 18. It's like a mess.
Oh my God, that's unacceptable. This was
Oh my god, these fucking people, dude.
New York City? What? It's Long Island.
Okay, first of all, when this guy said, oh my god, I thought he was gonna, finally refer to the under
I was hoping so.
18. But now you have 3 people here And they're all like, oh yeah, that sounds normal. The wife part being under 18, that sounds normal, but like, these circumstances are crazy. What the fuck is wrong with these folks?
Oh, wow, how sad. How sad. We
How
certainly
sad.
need- I hate
Is
to
that guy
say it,
Canadian?
to be political, but we need Lee Zeldin. The person that is governor right now is absolutely unacceptable.
Yeah, Lee Zeldin. Lee Zeldin.
I wanted Giuliani, but Zeldin's the best chance we have, so of course Zeldin.
Oh my god, you want a Giuliani, you fuck. Oh my god, dude, the Giuliani arc will never end. Like, cause there's actual Giuliani support. Oh my god. Bruh. What? What?
And he's referring to Giuliani's son, by the way.
Oh.
Final.
He has a kid? That thing spawned a creature? What?
I hear this is the only guy who we talked to, and I'm not sure how many people Walter Masterson.
I'm actually now shocked more about that more than anything else now at this point. Giuliani had a kid. Oh my god.
But this is the only guy who actually has more questions. He's not just accepting what Walter Masterson is saying to him as fact. And this is a problem. Like, if you hear a story from someone, like, you shouldn't just accept it. Like, there should be elements of that story, if it's warranted, where it raises these red flags, where you start to be a little bit skeptical. But these folks, they have no skepticism. Like, once you join that cult, they're in that bubble, and nothing can penetrate that. It's genuinely insane, but it seems like this guy is like the only person here with a little bit of common sense.
Cream truck took away all his weapons, and now that he's in jail, his wife can't even contact him because she's not 18, and it's just like
She's not 18?
You know,
So
there's
how
no
did that
freedom of
happen? How
speech.
could they take his ice cream truck? Oh, okay, wait a minute. Now I'm thinking about it. What I can visualize, I mean, I'm just taking a shot in the dark here, but one of the parents is like, oh, he's saying something to the kids, something to do with minors, and we're gonna, oh, look, oh, you got a gun, oh, you did, we're gonna take
all of the guns that were in the ice cream truck. Take it.
Wait, was he saying, like, was he trying to rationalize and justify the under 18 thing?
oh, children, guns, oh, this
Okay, so this right here gives me a little bit of hopium, right? Because he may not be the most eloquent, but you can actually almost hear the gears in his head turning. He's thinking, wait a second, okay.
I mean, yeah, that's why I'm a little confused, because he's not really putting it eloquently, but I mean, that's at least letting you know the gears are turning. Just, they're all rusted, and they're like... He took off. Come on, bro. Chill. But, like, I mean, I don't know if he's, like, justifying it or being like, wait, what the fuck? Hold on, I actually see why he was.
About his uncle's political beliefs. Maybe there were actual crimes committed. There's minors, there's weapons. So it gives me a little bit of hope that this person is like, okay, maybe I should question this narrative, because as you can see, you know, Walter Masterson, he's LARPing. He's trying to blend in. He has the same shirt. So just because they perceive you to be in their tribe, that kind of disarms them, and they're more susceptible to believing someone in their tribe. But this person, for whatever reason, decided to just, like, be a little bit skeptical, and he's not buying it, which is good. Like, I want to see this. Like, I want to live in a world where Walter Masterson, as funny as this is, wouldn't have this work on any of them. They'd be like, wait, she's under 18, hang on a second, maybe he deserves to be in prison. Why did he get his ice cream truck taken away? It can't be as simple as, oh, he has political beliefs that the government disagrees with. That seems a little bit implausible, no? Like, I want to live in that world, but we're just not there. And Walter Masterson has time and again showed us that we're nowhere near that world. And this kind of just shows you that, like, the media has failed, our education system has failed, in large part due to Republicans trying to defund it and the way it's set up, so you only fund schools based on property taxes, which puts, you know, certain people in disadvantaged districts where they don't have that much funding. I mean, that's neither here nor there. Either way.
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, there's a lot of reasons as to why, you know, people are the way they are when it comes to this type of shit.
We need to fix this as a society, and try to
Absolute
find
no
some
alcohol,
way.
mister. No, there will be.
to educate these people, because I don't want to come to the
Almost certainly
conclusion
will
that
have a good
most
time
of these
to say it.
Republicans are lost
I did last
causes,
time.
but how do
Almost
you
certainly will
not
tonight.
reach that conclusion when they get duped so goddamn easily?
Because he stands for like freedom and liberty, and
Yeah.
you know, it's like it's cancel culture.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm sorry to hear that, man.
Thank you.
So look, he's sympathizing, but he's not just buying it all. That's what you should do.
I mean, at least that's good on that guy's part. He's like, well, a little sus on that one, but, you know, I sympathize with your plight there, buddy. You know, so, man, that guy at least got some gears. At least that dude has some neurons going on in his head.
Every fucking thing that somebody tells you. And look, to be 100% fair, it's not like, you know, leftists don't do the same thing sometimes, right? If you see somebody and they're wearing, like, you know, garb that leads you to believe that they're in your same political in-group, perhaps you do let your guard down a little bit. I certainly do, right? But if you really have no critical thinking skills, no common sense, that's what leads these people to completely suspend reason and just accept anything. You have to have some level of scrutiny with vetting these things, vetting these claims, but they don't. Smartest Republican at that rally. That's true.
I just spilt milk.
Because, yeah, like, you know,
I mean, basically, because it's just like, the dude, you know, really couldn't exactly get, like, you know, the gears turning totally. I mean, because, I mean, his guard was essentially let down and was trying to, like, justify, you know, defending it, but, you know, had enough gears turning, being like, I don't know about this. Which, I mean, yeah, it's like, I mean, considering how rare that is, you know, especially if people were that TFG and shit, I mean, it unfortunately just, you know, doesn't really, like, give too much hope for, you know, the, like, 25% of people in this country, frankly. Sorry, I have, Lemon Gin Fizz, and then, what's this one called? Poison Berry.
this bullshit detector was going off, but, like, you know, I'll give him credit, right? Because he was trying to be polite. He was sympathizing.
Nice.
But yeah, Hilda says, chat, the moral of the story is don't purchase ice cream from a pedophile who has guns in an ice cream truck. Exactly. Okay, yeah, that was great. By the way, obligatory, please support Walter Masterson. He only has 39,000 subscribers, and that's a lot. But Walter Masterson should have more than 1 million subscribers.
Sounds rancid.
It's incredible.
It's not.
I haven't finished this
Poison Berry's pretty
we watched this
harsh,
last week on
but
the show,
it's okay.
He attended a pro-life protest. Just incredible work. And this is the individual who trolled Matt Gaetz in real time. So go subscribe to him. If you're not, what are you doing with your life? Make better decisions. Don't be like Republicans. Do good. And
I mean, Walter Masterson is actually pretty funny. Like, I've seen some of his content, too. I think he also trolled Supreme Court judges, too, a little bit. Or at least, like, security that were, like, outside of one of the houses of him. I think Clarence Thomas. Like, the dude's done a lot of amazing trolls. So, Walter Masterson is definitely someone worth checking out. It's just strawberry flavor thing. After the last one, tastes like cough medicine. Aw. I like strawberries, though. Anyway. Gonna catch the last little bit of this bowl out here. Then, get ready and, head off into my little show. Cosplaying Lamau. Honestly, I will bring the hat to the concert I'm going to. And, I honestly might bring my gas mask, too. Actually, here, before I leave, I'll show you, why really quick. Because at the concert I went to, they, had a song that's, related to, like, a battle that happened that, involves, like, some gas masks and shit, and, some dude brought one, and the whole band showed up wearing them. Boom. Here was Yak a minute. Oh, there's the one of the people in the show that brought theirs, which I hope they are showing up to this concert as well. That's Joachim Brodin, the vocalist. Now here, let me get to the here it is. I won't play the whole thing, but just to at least get the idea. And kind of the vibe of the show, too. Still think it would have been Gooler if they used Gooler and Cooler if they used filters to go on the gas masks. I mean, a little bit, but obviously they're just doing it for performance sake, you know, so. It only lasts a minute. Wow. A minute, man, because I only last a minute. Bonons. I see. Hey, catch the ball would happen to be 4:20. At least 4:20 p.m. But anyway, peace out for now at least. But I'll be back around later tonight. So I will have a good time, and I hope y'all enjoy.